This time, it's my great pleasure to yield time to both a member of the Rules Committee, a member of the Budget Committee, and a member of the Appropriations Committee. The gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Cole, I'd like to yield 5 minutes.
The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my friend for yielding. And I want to pick up and thank my friend and thank our chairman of the Rules Committee for doing exactly what he just suggested, bringing us a rule that lets everybody bring their choices to the floor. That's what we all like to do around here, and interestingly enough, we essentially have 3 Democratic choices and 3 Republican choices, and we're going to have an opportunity for people to express a variety of opinions and arrive at a consensus in this body. Now, obviously, as a Republican, I like all 3 Republican alternatives pretty well. I like my friend Mr. Woodall has always worked on the Republican Study Committee budget, gets us to balance faster than anything else on this floor. But the reality is, if you look at the 3 Republican budgets, they have several things in common. The first is they make tough choices, because we've got an $18 trillion debt, and just left on autopilot, that'll increase by another $7.2 trillion. It aims to bring these things into balance, and each one of those Republican budgets does that. Republican Study Committee budget a little bit faster, but all within the 10-year budget window. Second, they all repeal Obamacare. Not a big surprise. No Republican voted for it. We've never liked it, and it would be remiss of us not to continue to argue our position. Third, they all call for major tax reform. We all know that lowering rates, eliminating exemptions, rationalizing the tax code contributes to economic growth. They all, frankly, defend the country pretty well. We do it in different ways, and we have debates, but they all manage to do that, and none of them raise taxes in the process of achieving those objectives. So I'm pretty content with the Republican choices in front of us and look forward to that. But I think it behooves us all to remember, and it gets lost in this debate, a budget is not the law of the land. The budget is essentially a negotiating position. The president submitted a budget earlier. That's his initial negotiating position. Whatever emerges from this debate today is likely to be the Republican initial negotiating position. My friends on their side will present a budget today, which I presume represents their initial negotiating position. They've also got other budgets within the context of that, perfectly appropriate. We do too, but they'll have a general position. And our friends on the Senate on both sides of the aisle are wrestling with this very issue as we talk. Now, we seem to forget, as we draw our differences and distinctions here, we do live in an era of divided government. And despite what many people think, we do occasionally come to compromises around here. Now, I'm pretty pleased we've lowered the budget deficit every year that we've been in the majority, but that has entailed some compromises. We compromised in the Ryan-Murray agreement. That was actually a pretty good agreement that both sides were happy with. Frankly, this week we'll probably compromise on the so-called doc fix, the SGR. So we compromised last December on the Cromnibus bill, which again gave us some fiscal stability. So I suspect, as we all define our initial negotiating positions, at some point down the road we will indeed compromise. The President of the United States has got a signature that's going to happen on any appropriations bill. Our friends have a filibuster control in the upper house. So my hope is we state our positions. I'm very content with where we're opening this debate. And then, frankly, over the course of the months ahead, we work together and see if we can find that common ground. But that common ground ought to do what the Republicans are trying to do in terms of lowering the deficit, reforming entitlements, not raising taxes, and moving us in a fiscally responsible direction while we modernize our tax code. That's our opening position. I look forward to defending it. I thank my friend Mr. Woodall for bringing this excellent rule to the floor, which allows everybody to put forward their position. And with that, I urge support of the rule and yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman